Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World, our syndicated TV show, and Let's Just Talk, our syndicated radio show. I have the honor of having Dan Naus, who was a winner in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future, Volume 41, and which was officially released on this past April 22nd, 2025. And the wonderful thing about this is that after talking to Dan just a few minutes ago, he entered 7 times and won this time. And I want to welcome you to our show today. And tell us a little bit about your background, because you've lived a lot of places, haven't you?
I did. So before I started writing, I was a military brat growing up. My father was in the Army. I joined the Army right after I graduated high school. Through that experience, I've lived mostly in Germany, the Deep South, Georgia and Alabama, California, Texas, Alaska, and got to travel all different countries.
Right. Well, I was a military wife twice. So let me ask you a question. You live today in DC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yep. How long did it take them to get a hold of you to let you know that you were one of the winners?
They told me a couple of months or several weeks after I had submitted. They told me I was one of the 8 finalists. That I didn't necessarily win, but I was one of the 8 that may have actually gotten it. And then she told me I was going to, the very next week, I got a call saying that I was the first place winner for my quarter.
Oh, that's great. I thought that was exciting, wasn't it?
It was incredibly exciting. So when they first called, I thought it was to tell me I had done something wrong, some type of rule thing. I was like, I can't figure out what I did wrong, but I'll take the call. I'm glad I did. The second time was surreal. I really did not think I was going to win first place.
Well, you know, the most amazing thing about it is that you get to work with really what I call very famous writers that write sci-fi and wonderful things. And that L. Ron Hubbard left all of his estate to this whole program makes it pretty exciting for you.
It was.
And now, when you win first place in each additional contest, right, you get do you get money for it?
Right. So for each quarter winner gets $1,000. They win $1,000, and then they have the opportunity to be one of 4 people to win the grand prize, which is $5,000.
So you've been writing for how many years now?
About 2 years.
And you said that, you entered it 6 times and won the 7th time, correct?
Yep, right.
Okay. So this story, how long did it take you to write it?
I think it was about 2 months, 2 to 3 months.
And what is it around? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, yes. It was based on my idea that every time we think that we have this opportunity to change the society, but we have to make some fundamental change, would we actually do it? So in the story, a scientist is confronted with the ability that his invention of time travel may be something that he has to give up in order to save all humanity. And can he actually make that choice?
He makes a choice? But we don't know yet because we want to read it, right?
Right. He has to make a choice by the end of it on what is he going to do.
What's he going to do? So can I see the cover of the illustration that this wonderful gal did for you, right?
Right. So each of the stories, there's also the illustrators of the contest.
Yeah.
Illustrators of Futures. So each of those winners is given a story at random, and they have to draw a picture for the story. One of the artists was not participating, so Haley Enriquez, who did mine, also did a second one. She was able to do, this for storm damage.
That's wild. That's wild. I love it.
She did a fantastic job. I also liked what she did with Slipstone, which is another story in the book.
Oh, wow. So you're all in the book, and you have a book there. I know that you can show everybody, right?
Yep. So Riders of the Volume. So one of the other perks is all of us will get published. We will get paid for the story that we put in there, but all 12 writers will get published, and all 12 artists will have their art published with the story in it. And it's Riders of the Future, Volume 41.
41. And that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
There's a couple extra stories in there from professional writers and essays on other type of things for writers and some of the craft.
I know, and it's pretty exciting to see that. Had you had the idea to write the story a while, or did you just say, I've got to write this story?
No, I remember there was a couple things that were going through there. First off was a song I just could not get out of my head called Storm Coming, which was the original name of the story until some of my friends and readers said, no, change the name of the story. The other part really was a verse from the Bible, the third temptation of Christ, where someone is actually given a choice, or Jesus was given a choice of, I'll give you everything if you just worship me. And I thought, well, I wonder how many people really would give up all that. So I was trying to find some way of kind of putting that in a hyperbolized story of, you were given this opportunity to be, great, wonderful, the last temptation, but could you actually give that up? And I was trying to find some way of telling that story for a broader audience.
Right. So how many words, because you're limited to the amount of words you can use in the story. Am I correct?
You are. So this is a short story. I can't remember what the limit was because I'm usually very under it.
I thought it was 18,000.
That sounds about right. It would be in that neighborhood because one of our writers wrote a lot. I was like,
right, because 10,000, I think 10,000 used to be the minimum. I'm not sure, but they raised it a little bit. Okay. So yours was probably around 10 or 9.
Oh, no, mine was around 3 to 4.
3,000? That's it?
Yeah, that was a very short story. It was
awesome.
really just an encounter because I was trying to figure out again how to make that story as short as possible.
Right. Well, and you know what? That probably amazed them that you did that, because a lot of writers, unfortunately, write too much, right?
Yeah.
And that made it pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, when I got the call that I won, that was one of my comments, was it was so short. And they were like, yeah, you were able to tell a concise story and it had a punch. So we wanted to see it up there.
So let me ask you a question. Where you have a wife and children, am I correct?
Yes, I have 8 grandchildren.
8 grandchildren. Tell me, were they excited that Grandpa and Dad and your wife excited because she got to go, didn't she?
She did not choose to go. We're all going to go down to Atlanta for a celebration. She didn't want to go out to LA. We used to live out in California. She was not as impressed about going back out there. But they were very excited and just as shocked as I was. Not that they didn't think I could do it, just, wow, this kind of happened on what I was considering as a hobby.
You were considering it a hobby and they were considering it a
Yes,
hobby?
now you have to keep going. No, they thought there was, this is the thing that Dad does when he goes in the lounge and he just starts typing. And now he got an award. I do have a fairly nice-sized award that came with this. I was on, the gala. They had to see that. It was an adjustment because I'm used to, selling the story, selling other people's things. But then when I started becoming a thing at the gala, it was an adjustment for me. I was not used to that much attention and that much camera and that much place. I appreciated it, but it was an adjustment.
Right. and going out there and seeing everything is an adjustment in itself, right?
Yep, spending time with those other 11 writers and those 11 artists was fantastic. I mean, it kind of grew a close bond with everyone, and then to be able to meet some of the other writers, Tim Powers, Orson Scott Card, Larry Nevin. It was truly a incredible time.
Right. And then you're on television on top of it.
There was the television at the end of the week in which we were all on stage. It does very much look like an award ceremony. It was, I won't say intimidating, but it was definitely a lot to take in.
Well, I'll tell you, the Taglian Center is beautiful and the
It
food
is.
was great. It was awesome. And I was very excited about covering it and being there with the people that had won and whatever. So let me ask you this question. Have you done any book signings or anything like that?
We did some book signings while we were there, but actual book signings since I've been back. My book signing, I will have one at Barnes and Noble over here at Potomac Yards.
And those are really fun time. They're really fun events, actually.
Yeah.
And make sure you have a lot of business cards out there because you still want to be a writer, don't you?
Yes. One of the things when I won, before I went out to Los Angeles, I have a very good support group, my wife and a lot of friends. We actually sat down and went, all right, is this a hobby or is this a thing? Because if I'm going to make this a thing, I'm going to really learn and start writing and doing more work in that area. And we decided that there was enough talent there to do something. And so I've been writing a little more than I did before. But to be fair, I was writing pretty frequently before. I had New Year's resolutions to submit one for every quarter, which I've been doing for about a year and a half before I won.
Wow. Well, you know what? That's the important part is not being afraid to do it. And if you love it, and I mean you love it, you keep on doing it. Would you say that it's more sci-fi?
Mine is very much sci-fi, yes.
Right. So do you think you have a novel? Or are you thinking about doing short stories in a book?
So right now, my first goal was to do short stories, but then I had some ideas of creating interlocking short stories. Was my first goal because to me, a novel is somewhat, since I already write small, writing a novel is a little more
Intense?
yeah, a little more tense. So over the last month, I've been thinking about writing some interlocking novels, not sequel novels, but novels that kind of expand upon each other while not being sequels.
Like a series, maybe?
They could be a series, but they were going to be the way I was envisioning it was much more of a character profile or multiple character profiles.
So on that note, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back, Dan. And Dan, your last name again is Naus. And you were one of the winners of Future Writers of the Future. L. Ron Hubbard presents Writers of the Future, Volume 41. And you won one of the contests. They had 4, and you were the top winner of the third or fourth. What was it? The first, second, third, or fourth one?
Third quarter.
Third one. Okay. So we'll be right back, and you can find your volume 41 in any Barnes and Noble or anywhere they sell books, right?
You can. We've checked several Barnes and Noble. Yep, we're in those Barnes and Nobles.
Right. And we'll be right back. And do you have a website?
I actually do. trnaus.com.
And that's Naus.
Yes.
.com. We'll be right back after these important messages on Kathryn Raaker's Let's Just Talk and KathrynRaakersWorld.com. We'll be right back. We're back with Dan Naus, the winner of the L. Ron Hubbard Illustrators of the Future Contest, Writers and Illustrators of the Future Contest, and you were honored along with 11 other writers and 11 artists at the Tanglian Complex in Hollywood, California on April 10th. Your story was Storm Damage, published along with the other writers and illustrators' stories and art in the international best-selling anthology, L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future, Volume 41. And it was officially released on April 22nd of 2025. So you got to, right after the ceremony, or the whole thing, the award ceremony and everything, you got to sit out into an area where you could sign books and stuff, or sign.
We did.
That's right.
They lined us all up, the writers and the artists. They tried to make sure we were all paired up, and then we just signed books as people were coming out of the gala.
Right, which was really a lot of fun. So, was there one person that really impressed you?
No.
Not judges.
By that I mean they all impressed me. So the good news is Jodie Nye and Tim Powers. So Jodie Nye was the editor of the edition, but she was also our instructor. So we got a lot of our training with Jodie Nye and Tim Powers, both fantastic writers and very good, very nice to work with. Everyone else came in for briefs and to talk to us and give some presentations and to help teach us. But if there was anyone, it was definitely Jodie Nye and most certainly Tim Powers.
Yeah, Tim Powers is pretty awesome. I got to meet all these people. I got to sit with them. That was a really big surprise for me. I got to sit with all these wonderful people.
Yep.
And John and his beautiful wife. And it was a real thrill. It really was. So was it warm out when you went?
It was warmish. It wasn't hot like it often is, but it was warm. It was nice.
Right. And so how did you like the hotel? Wasn't that nice?
The hotel was wonderful. It was right off of Hollywood Boulevard, so right on the Ovation Mall. I think we were about, 3 blocks away from Author Services. So a lot of us actually started walking back and forth because it was a very nice walk. The weather was beautiful.
Right. Oh, that's great. I'll tell you what, it really is a surprise. Tell me what surprised you more than anything else about the conference.
I thought I was the only one that showed up there with imposter syndrome, meaning I can't believe I won. They must all be crazy. I met 11 other authors who almost had the same thing. So when I say we bonded, it was a fairly intense bonding. I was trying to find a word that said it's like trauma bonding without the trauma. I mean, there's a lot of intensity going on. It was being able to share that experience with 11 other artists, authors that shared very similar experiences, and the fact that we still talk to each other pretty regularly now.
That's pretty exciting that that you are still in contact with everybody. And the other thing is, didn't you have to write a story?
Yes, we did. So
and how did that go? How did that go?
We all did it. Apparently, they were kind of curious. So what they do is they give you a random object, and then they tell us the day before to go, interview random people. So we all did that, got those two things.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a stopwatch and said, you have 24 hours to write a story based on those two things. Go. And I think we had until 2:00 the next day, and all of us turned them in just in time. It was pretty intense. There's pictures of us. We kind of grouped together. We found spots to sit down, but it was just writing, plotting, writing, submitting. Pretty intense.
Ask you a question. Did you have to read them?
2 of them. Actually, I think most of us wanted to be read, but we didn't have enough time to read all of them. So we have been sharing with each other. But the time we did critique 2 of them, I think it was the next day or later that day.
What did they think of yours?
I did not. Mine was not one of the ones read, though. I was kind of curious if it was.
What was the name of it?
Lean-To.
What?
Lean-To.
Lean-To? Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a story about someone giving it back. I had a New Zealand dime, and I was trying to figure out how to do it, and I made it kind of magical, and it was a pretty nice little story. It was more fantasy, which I don't normally write. Normally, I just write science fiction, but I was inspired.
Oh, wow. That sounds exciting. So was there one that stood out besides yours that you really liked that somebody wrote?
First off, I would never do it to the other 11 and say that anyone was better than the other ones.
No. Okay, we won't, because they're, we won't.
But I was impressed with the ones that we read and the ones I have read. The stories were all slightly different, and again, they're not polished. So you're reading this kind of very raw first draft, but the inventiveness of being able to see something like an orange peel and then have that orange peel turn into an alien. I remember thinking, okay, these are some pretty imaginative creators I'm with.
Well, if you have to write about something like that, you got to make it either funny or scary or whatever to keep people's attention.
Sadly, his was more scary than funny. I was actually, I thought it was going to be funny. It was not.
So let me ask this question. How long could they be?
There was no, however long it could take. So again, mine I thought was around 3 to 4, which is my normal. Oh, what was Keith? Keith told me what 10,000. He wrote a lot. I remember thinking, Keith, man, that is a lot of, or Ian rather, not Keith. Ian. So Ian, that is a lot of writing, man. What were you just like at a keyboard? And you're like just typing away like Schroeder on Snoopy. But there was no limit. It was whatever it took to write the story.
So, what was your favorite thing while you were there?
Well, I already said talking to the people, so that was still going to be my most favorite. I don't want to sound like a lush and say BarCon, where we got to talk to the authors and each other afterwards at one of the bars, because that was also everyone kind of let their hair down. So we'll call it LobbyCon. We actually get to spend time in a more informal setting. I really enjoyed having some of those conversations with some of the professionals, and again with other winners. I suspect it was, I'll have to say, the gala. I had been to presentations before throughout my life, but not in that kind of context. I mean, they deliberately make it feel like an actual awards ceremony. It was a once in a lifetime experience. One of the judges pulled us aside and said, "This will never happen again to you in the rest of your life for writing. So enjoy it while you can." And I went, "Yeah, okay, that's fair. We'll enjoy it."
So, when are you coming out with your next story?
So right now I have several short stories in various states of publication or in submissions. So I am still pushing. I think I have 3 out right now.
Wow.
And I am still working on what do I need to do to create a book. So, I mean, those interlocking stories. So I'm working on that one, but I decided I was just going to keep short stories, or at least for another year.
Right. Would you, if you get really famous, you got to quit your day job?
I'm getting to an age where quitting is, the word is retired.
The word is retired. Okay. Well, in my world, you don't have to retire. That's the best
Right.
thing.
So I don't have any intention of retiring. I love what I do, but I also like writing, and I don't think I'm going to get. If I do get big, it will not be overnight. It'll be a long haul. So by then, I probably will be more retiring age, because it takes time to kind of get through the ropes and learning the processes. As I told someone, winning a contest does not make you a famous writer. It puts you on a very good path to do that, and I plan on taking that opportunity.
And I represent a lot of authors, or quite a few in my time. And it's exciting to see when their books come out or this contest. Because now, who was the youngest of all of the writers?
Seth Atwater. Seth was by far the youngest.
Was there anybody that was like a teenager or 19 or 20?
So Seth was pretty young. I didn't go around asking their age, but for the writers, Seth was the youngest. Everyone else was, there was a couple of people around my age-ish, but most were, about 10 years younger. The illustrators were all much, skewed much younger. So the average age for the writers, I thought, was around 30-ish. And then for the artists, was around 20-ish. But to answer your question, Seth by far. The rest of us were a little bit older than Seth was.
Anybody from a foreign country?
Yes. We actually had 3 winners from foreign countries. We had a Welshman, we had a Brit, an Englishman, and we had a Canadian. We also had someone that is American, but he's teaching in China. So that was the most unique. So Barlow Cressmont actually had flown in from China, but he's not a Chinese citizen. He was over there teaching English.
Right. Well, actually, a Chinese company was there a media company was there when I was there, and I actually interviewed them, and they interviewed me. So that was interesting.
I'm sure they were interested in Barlow because his ties to China, and he's still. I mean, he went back right after we were done. He went back out.
We're getting to the end of our show. What's your next adventure?
I'm glad you asked that question. Even when I was on and giving my presentation, normally I just find a new thing and I try to do it. And writing was just a new thing. I think my next adventure now is to just continue to write and get better at the craft. And I will start figuring out how to write a novel. I know how to write a novel. I'll come up with an idea that would support a novel. I think that would probably be the next one.
Well, actually, my first one was 210 pages. And this last one that we just did, I think is around maybe 300. And I don't know, we're going to make the next one around 200 or 300 because when you have a series like this, right?
Right.
You don't want to make them fall asleep. We want to keep them on their toes.
Yep.
So anyhow, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on Kathryn Raaker's World and Let's Just Talk. And the book just came out in April, and you'll be out along with your other fellow writers doing wonderful interviews about the book and about the organization and the actual contest, which is really exciting. So where can people get more information? I'll give out the contest, but give me your website again and the name
My
of your
website is trnaus.com.
And the website for more information on the contest is www.writersofthefuture.com. So I wish you all the luck in the world, and break a leg when you're not really, but break a leg when you're at the interview process and the autograph signing. That is really exciting. Thanks for joining me today on Kathryn Raaker's World, and Let's Just Talk.